Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Dreams of Zion and the Pot Smoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Pot Smoker's Bible, the Book of Zion, and the Dreams of Zion, which are short stories that I am making up on air. Dreams about the people that I hope will go camping with me on 420 in the panhandle of the state of Nebraska. Um, and all of these dreams and these stories are based on the prophecy of Israel, the prophecy of Zion, which states that a woman named Zion steps forward at the time when the United States of America, a great northern kingdom, is experiencing a sore destruction, which of course is right here in our face, January 6th. That was the beginning of the sore destruction of the United States of America, because it's a hypocritical nation which oppresses the poor and the minorities and the drug users. And the stories of Zion are the stories of the poor and of the people of the nation in this moment of crisis, standing up for their rights, saying, well, money is our problem, so let's do away with money. There's this chick named Zion who says, we can do this without money. We don't need the United States of America. We don't need the governments telling us what to do. We don't need the governments demanding money for everything. And um, so let's say our story today, episode 9, is called Steve Decides to Camp. Now, Steve is 45 years old. He, um, sorry, I want to get my title right. Um, he is a truck driver, and he has been a trumpet, one of the followers of Trump. I don't know, it's like, I don't know what you guys want to call yourself. I call you trumpets because you're Trump-ettes, Trump puppets. I'm not a great fan of Trump, obviously. But Steve has been. He believed from the moment Trump stepped forward, because he wasn't a politician, because he was a businessman, and because he was supposed to be this great businessman, that he would be a perfect person to put into the White House, because he was so tired of the United States government. He just wanted a revolution, because he was so tired of being oppressed. He was so tired of struggling, even as a truck driver, to make ends meet. It's like the taxes were too high. He couldn't even get high. All he wanted to do was drive his truck and get high. But, he couldn't because of the war on drugs. And he thought, well, okay, Trump says he doesn't do drugs, he doesn't get high or anything, but he says that he's going to change things, and maybe if he's willing to change all these other things I hate, maybe he eventually will be willing to change the drug laws too. That was one of his motivations, one of his hopes for Trump. But Trump never even came close to that. But he had enough going for him. It's like he believed Trump's lies. And so he was taken in by that. And it wasn't until January 6th that Steve realized what was happening. He was a nonviolent person. And the violence of the uprising at the Capitol appalled him. He had been following Trump and believing that Trump would lead us into a better age. An age without war, because he was going to bring our soldiers home. One of the main motivations. And so when the violence happened at the Capitol, Steve was shocked because he did not realize that this was happening. He didn't know that he was being led down a rabbit hole. But after January 6th and the violence, he decided, I'm going to take a closer look at what's going on because I don't want a violent revolution. I'm appalled by that violence. So he goes to the dreaded fake news. He goes to YouTube and he gets on CNN and he goes back to to he starts watching videos from the right side of the law, from the truth. And he sees the evidence that Fox News had been denying him this whole time. Because Fox has been saying the exact opposite of what's true and what's real. And for the first time, he started watching CNN and realized that Trump was exactly what CNN said that he was. That Trump was the fake news. And Trump was the instigator of violence. Trump was the one that was going to lead us into a violent revolution. And he wanted none of that. He just wanted to get high and enjoy his life. That's all he wanted. He didn't want to struggle to pay bills. He didn't want to bust his ass on the road um, all week long for nothing. And that's how he felt. But he didn't want what Trump was offering because violence was not the way. And so he was on his Twitter feed, and Trump got fucking banned from Twitter, so he had nothing to. And so he started looking through he kept looking things like, oh, God, same crap. And he saw this lady's image, and she said, would you stop doing drugs for Trump? No, he thought to himself. If not, follow me. And so he hit that feed, and he started watching it. And he was like, whoa, you're right. I've been following the wrong person. I'm going to follow you because you're all about the drugs. You're saying that I can do drugs and be a good person, that I don't have to be violent, and that the Bible says what? We should go camping. He says, I can do that. Hell, I can do that easy. Go camping. Huh. So he starts gathering up everything that he needs to go camping to be ready for 420 because that's the day of the great campout. And he goes about his business. He keeps on working. He ignores Trump and all his crap because he's done with that. So he doesn't take part in the revolution. In fact, neither does the majority of the Trumpites that use drugs. Because he starts telling his friends in the Trump organization, in the Trump feed, about Zion. Because once he sees that first video, he says, what the fuck? And he goes back through her feed and he starts at the beginning and he starts watching him and he's like, oh my God, this woman is fucking cool. She totally believes that people who use drugs are good people. Finally, somebody said it. Drugs are not the problem. Drug users are not the problem. Money is the problem. So he goes around the country driving his truck and he's watched all of her videos and he goes around the country and he starts buying seeds from all of the stores that he goes to, the viable seeds, because he is going to be a part of the revolution of Zion, foretold revolution of the prophecy of Israel, because he was always a Christian. Well, he considered himself to be a Christian until he listened to Zion, and he saw for himself that the prophecy was fulfilled and that Jesus had a part in it. Jesus had a part in Zion. And he was going to be a part of that. So he starts gathering seeds from all across the country. Different regions of the country have different kinds of seeds, and he gets the right ones, the ones that germinate and cause more seeds to grow. And he gets his camping gear, and he starts stockpiling food because there's going to be that 10 days period where he has to feed himself until his plants start growing, and beyond that because he wants a supplement. And so he prepares for Zion. And he keeps his job right up until 419. On 419, he makes sure that he's at home. And he packs his bags up, and he gets in his pickup truck, and he heads to Nebraska, leaving his truck. Well, okay, let's get on. Let's go back. He owns his own diesel with a flatbed. So he fills that flatbed with all his worldly possessions and all of the food that he has been gathering for the camp, and all of the seeds and everything that could think of that the camp might need, because he wanted to contribute what money he had left and what money he was making for this great endeavor. So he took everything that he owned and put it on his flatbed, and all of the food that he had gathered, all of the water that he had gathered, everything that he had gathered that he could think of. All he had medical supplies, he had everything, because he had started gathering this and he had told his friends about it. And so they had all gathered stuff, and so there was a whole bunch of truck drivers who were doing this at the same time from this time until 419. 419. And on 419, he and his truck drivers guild that he had organized out of the videos that he had watched of me, and he organized the Truckers Guild, which would become the Supply Guild in Zion. So he and all of his truckers, and there were thousands of truckers that were Christian and Muslim and Jewish and Native American, and they were all up from all the spectrums of life, all the truck drivers that he had talked to, because they were all of these guys. They may have started out as trumpets, but they became Zionite because he spread the word. And so all over the United States, truck drivers started to do this very thing. They started to gather all the necessary supplies for Zion, because he wanted not only for the camp to have the food and water and supplies that they need, he wanted to be a part of this beautiful vision of Zion. And so, to the surprise and delight of Zion, on 420, he and all of his truckers came to the camp and they were part of the first 1,000 that took off and went to the camp. And so they went to the designated place back out in the wilderness in the panhandle of the state of Nebraska, where the land meets the sand. And they became the supply line of Zion, because they came to the camp and they unloaded all of their supplies, and they had a meeting with Zion. And then the Truckers Guild went back out into America to gather the people of Zion and the supplies needed. And everybody who needed to get to Zion had a way to get to Zion because of the truck drivers who used to be trumpets. And so may the Gray watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. And may they teach you right from wrong. May they, may you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it, and make that your guild choice when we get to camp. Join me on 420 to take a stand against America and be free. My name is Zion. These are the dreams of Zion. I love you way too much to say goodbye, so I'm going to say later now.